including Claude Mini and soldiers called the New Ball. Including Claude Mini and soldiers called the New Bullet a mini ball. Makes sense. What's up, squad? It's your Squid, aka the Anxious Squid, here at Anxious Squid Productions. The other day I did a video about weapons of the Revolutionary War, the American Revolutionary War. The thing's just behind the camera, just over there, actually. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of these envelopes and stuff. You guys have probably seen them at history stores and all that sort of stuff, but I figured it did well views-wise, you know, comparatively to the history playlist, the rest of the history playlist, so I'd give it a go for the rest of them. Went down there and bought more envelopes, so yeah, we'll have a look. This one's Weapons of the Civil War, which you obviously already know because you've seen the title and the thumbnail. The envelope says, pictures and descriptions of weapons used in the war. Civil War soldiers fired a rifle musket that was much improved over the Revolutionary War model. A 12-pound gun nicknamed the Napoleon because became a star weapon of war. That's really interesting. Reproduced on antiqued parchment that looks and feels old. It's not old, but it's cool. I don't know. I like them. They're a bit gimmicky, but I like them. Helps me learn at a glance. You know what I mean? So we're going to have a look at them and I'll read it to you. You know what I mean? So that's the envelope they came in. I'll put that back in there. I don't know why I threw it on the ground like it was a Pokemon packet, but we'll have a look. Another old school one. It'll go next to the other one. I was going to say this. I think revolvers were around by then. So there's that. There's that picture again. I'll have better pictures in the edit. You won't just be looking at it next to my face and stuff. But yeah, let's have a read, shall we? We shall, all right? A combination of new, highly effective weapons and outmoded tactics made the Civil War the bloodiest conflict in American history. A nation of 32 million people lost 714,245 men, killed and wounded. This was almost exactly the same number lost in World War II when the nation was infinitely larger. The weapon that produced many of these casualties was the new rifle musket, adopted in 1855 and modified in 1861 and 1864. Rifles had been known for centuries, but they were slow to load, and so only a few were used. The breakthrough came with a new bullet invented in France through the work of several men, including Claude Mini and soldiers called the New Ball. Including Claude Mini and soldiers called the New Bullet a mini ball. Makes sense, even though the version used by American troops was an improved design by James H. Burton of the Harper's Ferry Armory. Right, so he gave it a bit of a tweak and stuff, and obviously he's got a... Maybe it might be that winged projectile down there, we'll see. Basically, it was a pointed bullet with a hollow base. It could be made smaller than the bore, so it could be loaded quickly and easily. Then, when the gun was fired, gases from the explosion expanded the hollow base and made it fit tightly enough to take the spin from the rifling grooves. Now, every soldier could have a rifle and an accurate one, whereas the old smoothbore musket could only be counted on to hit a man-sized target at 80 to 100 yards. The new rifle musket could hit it at 500 yards and strike a man on horseback about half the time at 1,000 yards. That makes a big difference, you know what I mean? Projectile-wise, that's huge. That's a big deal, yeah. The rifle musket was still a muzzle loader, so a soldier had to stand up to load quickly. He still had to stand in massed formations, and soldiers from both north and south did so with incredible courage. The new gun had one other improvement over the musket of the Revolution. Instead of striking a spark with flint and steel, it used a percussion cap that exploded when it was struck by the hammer. It was slightly slower than the flintlock, but it was much surer. Along with the single-shot muzzle loaders, there were also a number of breech-loading carbines and rifles, and 3 repeaters. The Sharps was one of the best single-shot breech loaders. The Spencer, which began to reach the battlefields in 1863, was the most widely used repeater, aside from the Colt and Remington revolvers. The Spencer had a 7-shot magazine, and a man using one could fire 7 times as fast as one armed with a muzzle loader. 7 times as fast, alright. A regiment with Spencers had the firepower of a brigade Let me start that sentence again. A regiment with Spencers had the firepower of a brigade equipped with the older arms, and these breech loaders could be fired lying down or crouching behind cover. They made the formal bayonet charge suicidal. Makes sense. Sort of new warfare, you know? There were a few classic cavalry charges with sabres during the war, but the revolver was rapidly making the sabre obsolete. Makes sense. It's like that scene in Indiana Jones, you know what I mean? With the guy being all like, and then Indy just... There were new rifled cannon as well as small arms. The big ones, firing 100 or 200 pound projectiles, could shatter brick forts. That'd be handy, right? After the war, forts would be protected by dirt. Smaller rifle cannons, such as the 3-inch Parrott and Ordnance rifle, were not so effective as some of the older smoothbores of the larger caliber. The most efficient cannon of the war was the light 12-pounder gun, nicknamed the Napoleon. It had a 4.5-inch bore, and when loaded with a canister, a tin can filled with small iron balls, it acted like a huge shotgun. At Malvern Hill, Antietam and Stones River, it broke enemy charges and won the respect and affection of all artillerymen. The Civil War saw many other new weapons that had little effect but became important later on. There were rapid-fire guns such as the Gatling, landmines, water mines, which they called torpedoes, wire entanglements, an attempt at German warfare, and even one experiment with an airplane. These were interesting, but the important arms were the rifle musket, the breech loaders and repeaters, the new rifled cannon, and the Napoleon. It was these weapons in the hands of brave men who believed strongly in what they were fighting for that made the Civil War the terrible conflict that it was. So that was really interesting, and now I know a bit more about the weapons used in the Civil War as well as the American Revolutionary War. This poster's going to go up next to that one in my office, so that'll be cool, but yeah, I've got a few more. Let me know if you liked this one and if you're interested in seeing the other ones as well. As you can see here, I've got 3 other envelopes, right? I've got the ringing of the Liberty Bell, I've got the history of famous American flags, and presidents of the United States. So tell me which one you'd like to see next, and I'll do it next. And yeah, as always, hit me up in the comments section. Tell me what type of video you like the most, whether these history ones float your boat or not. And yeah, I'll try to get a wriggle on and do some more stuff. I'll see you guys when I look at you. Before that, though, these guys are my patrons. I like money. Turning some of yours into mine on a monthly basis would be ideal. Money's cool. But yeah, now, I'll see you when I look at you. You'll see me when you look at me. Thanks so much for watching.